on the air.
And a very good evening, and welcome to the first edition of Night Talk. I'm Gary MacDonald, and I'll be introducing our two co hosts as well in a few minutes. Just a little bit about what's going on here tonight. This is our shakedown cruise, if you will. There will probably be a few technical glitches along the way. uh, and,
Certainly.
and believe me, there were, and there still are.
Yeah.
But those the current technical glitches are more operator error than anything. Uh, 1 year ago this evening, Eddie, and that was it.
Yeah.
Wow, where did the year go?
Oh, you know what, Gary? If you were to tell me we're doing what, episode 49 now,
Yeah,
I'd be hard pressed to convince myself that we're more than 2025. I just can't imagine how quickly the time has gone. And you know what? I think a lot of that has to do is, you know what they say, time flies when you're having fun, Gary. And you know what? Our Wednesdays have been just a blast. We've had plenty of things happening in Canada and here in Montreal and in Quebec, and especially in the United States and the world. That's plenty to talk about. And, our viewers have a lot to say. We basically chat with our viewers on a consistent basis. And it's just been a great, great year, Gary. Really, it's been a lot of fun.
yeah. It doesn't seem like a year in some respects, and I should clarify too that yes, it's episode 49. Well, if you're 1 year old, well, why is it not episode 52? And the answer is this, that the intro for the first episode, we I logged that as a pilot. That was the pilot show. So that was one episode. And then Christmas and New Year's
Yeah.
fell on Wednesdays this year, or last year and this year. Um, so that would account for the other two. So there are the three episodes. Episode one really was just the pilot, and then we had Christmas Day and New Year Day off. So that's the three for 52. But it's been quite a wild ride. Think about this, Eddie. I know you have been, but every time I think about it, something else runs through my mind. Uh, what a couple of the highlights were from this year for you, and of course you were really new to this sort of concept. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But first, I just want to go back in because, you know, I talked about a glitch. Well, watch this one. This has been a dream for about a year. I kind of kicked it around over coffee with a newfound friend and bro, if you will, Eddie, and we'll introduce Eddie here in a moment. And we decided to move ahead with this. So this is it. We're here tonight, and we hope that you enjoy it. We are going to feature live chat, so if you have some comments, feel free to put your comments in, and we will share some of them along the way and address them as well. So before we get on with anything else, oh, we have two Eddies. There's the first technical glitch of the evening. So I'll work on that. Eddie, I'll let you introduce yourself and let people know who you are and what you're all about.
Wonderful. Thanks a lot, Gary. My name is Eddie Tkalik. I'm a born and bred Montrealer. I speak multiple languages: English, French. I also have a Slovenian background. My wife and I are both former Ville Saint Laurent residents, and most recently we moved to the Griffintown area of Montreal, which we're just absolutely enjoying. Different style of life here, and gave me the wonderful opportunity to meet a nice fellow like Mr. McDonald, who actually lives in the same building as I do now. Oh, what? You know what? If I was to ask the riddle, what's the difference between a doorknob and me? Not much in that video. Oh man.
Yeah, but
Oh.
you were, like it's all of a sudden when you're sitting there and you're staring at a camera,
Yes.
it takes a while to get warmed up to it and get that connection. And yeah,
Well, you know what, Gary? I mean, just for everybody's sake, Gary had approached me a year and 3 months ago, possibly, about doing a podcast with him. I mean, we had plenty of coffee and conversations about everything around the world, and became fast friends, and so was our wives, and it happened so quickly. And Gary said, hey, you know what, you and I, we're going to be doing a podcast. And here I am in the presence of your expertise as a well-known broadcaster in Canada. I was a little intimidated by that, and of course I said, well, Gary, I don't know about that and whatever else. And with your encouragement, and you were saying, hey, you've done conferences, you've talked to audiences of 1,000 people. This should be a cakewalk. And I said, oh, okay, you know what? Maybe we'll give it a try, hoping it'd go away. But no, my good friend Gary was very persistent, and lo and behold, we ended up doing our show about a week and a half before our first show. Gary says, okay, we're a go for next Wednesday, and the rest is history. And you're right, Gary. Looking at 1,000 people in an audience is one thing. Staring into a camera with absolutely no idea what's in the other side, it was very, very daunting. And I think it took me a good 3 or 4 episodes to get used to it and calm down and get away from the corporate mode of speaking online into the camera. And you basically said, hey, we're having a coffee outside our building. That's all we're doing. And you managed to calm me down so much, Gary, that I actually started feeling natural about doing this, as opposed to it being more of an orchestrated exercise. So that has, the way I am today, has a lot to do with your coaching over the year, for sure.
oops. And there's one problem that just popped up. Okay, I'll fix that in a minute, hopefully. We do have some comments to put up, and I apologize for that coming up the way it did. I'll just work on it in the background. And in order for me to do that, why don't I bring in the other cast of characters? And the first one, of course, is Christian, who was also on that very first episode. And again, like you, Eddie, he was a newbie. So let's have a little look at Christian, and then I'll have a quick chat with him as well. Now we'll move along to a very special co-host in a whole lot of ways, because he's going to bring a more worldly view, if you will, to some of the topics we will be discussing. And Christian, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm 35 years old, young, let's put it like this. I live partially in Canada. That's actually the country of my dreams, put it like this. Originally I'm coming from Germany, but moved to Switzerland in the age of 21, where I live now since 14 years. But in 2022, my partners and we decided to open our trading house, specifically in the mining and commodity sector here in Quebec, in Montreal, due to our roots here in Canada.
Well, Christian, it's been a year this evening since we did the first show, and you were part of that first show, as we saw in a previous clip a few minutes ago. Did you ever think you would be doing something like this?
No, I never had the chance to do something like this. I'm usually not an really outgoing person, so I really enjoyed this year. Also put me in a position to have a closer look on the North American developments in politics, economics. So yeah, it's interesting to see parallels, especially between Europe and Canada, and how both of the Canada, especially in the ties with Germany, have a lot of correlations. I really enjoy it.
And that was my next question. Have you found by being able to project the European view to a much broader audience, have you found that difficult, or is it fairly easy, especially now that you have a full year behind you?
It's getting easier and easier, but I also see a lot of similarities between the two nations, like Canada, but also like here the mid-European countries, like in terms of politics, like economy. Like I think Canada and Germany, but also like the mid-European countries are closer to each other than me personally, I thought in the beginning, and much closer than the US to anyone else in that regards as well. Yeah.
So you're having fun doing this.
Definitely, definitely.
Can you see a point at in the future where you might be doing something like this on a much broader scale, maybe on a broadcast network or whatever, if the opportunity presented
If
itself?
if you invite me, I will be there. But I also try to get a get a bigger view or point of view, like when traveling to other countries. Also from my job wise, I try to include more countries and get a bigger spectrum, not only from Europe to Canada, but also maybe from the African side to Canada and Asian side to Canada, which is not covered fully yet. But I hope we're getting there anytime soon.
And I would be remiss if I did not include my brother Wayne, who has been contributing to the stream over the year, on and off as time permitted for him to do so. And he couldn't be here this evening to join us live. So anyway, thanks to Wayne he loves his political chats. He loves sports chats. And of course, he did a very informative section on measles back when we were running through the measles ramp up in this country. So thank you to Wayne for everything that he has done and the conversations we've had off camera as well. Quite entertaining and informative. Now, I think I can bring the comments up now. And no, that's not the one. This one. Here we go. Yeah, I have a new comment layout, and I don't know if it's going to work, but let's see.
Let's give it a try.
Yeah, let's give it a try. That's what we're all about here.
Oh, here we go.
It's a start from Greg in Rothsay. Great to join you guys. Thanks, Greg, for dropping in as usual. Greg's one of our regular viewers. And let's see. Here's somebody I know, I think. Deborah. Congratulations, gentlemen. Thank you, my dear. And I think somebody you know as well. Boom. Happy anniversary.
My secret admirer.
Yes, exactly. Okay, and we have another one here from Monel. Looking at your original.
Yeah, always the critic, ready to help me out and coach me after the fact. So thank you, babe. Appreciate it.
And for anybody who is listening but not watching, she said, "I love seeing that, honey. That comparison was amazing. You're so much more comfortable now. It's good on you." Deborah, of course, was congratulations, gentlemen. And Greg, was great to join you guys. And we have another one coming up here.
Oh,
great trip around the sun. Congratulations. Well, thank you.
Beautiful. Yeah. Welcome, Kesha.
Thank you very much. So, Eddie, let's come back around to what we're doing. And there have been a lot of highlights. Little did I realize, and I think maybe you as well, that you would end up joining the show every week from different parts of the world.
Yeah. It's of course, my wife and I retired, and it's the first time we've actually decided to do a little bit of traveling and being away from balmy and warm Montreal in the middle of winter, right? So it was our first winter away, Gary, and I was really amazed by how I felt there was something missing or something coming up when I was on vacation, knowing Wednesday was coming up. So I was always looking at the news. I never watched the news the way I used to, or read the papers or journals like I used to. I have a new way of doing it, and even while being away from Montreal. I mean, what last year I did a couple of shows from the south of France. We were in Cuba at one point. Then I really did not think I was going to get a signal through. And you know what? Most of the country was without electricity, but we still managed to get a show done on a Wednesday night out of Cuba. So that was amazing. I think the one that really freaked me out is we also did a cruise during the winter, and in the middle of the Caribbean Sea, heading down towards Aruba, there was no land within hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles. No problem. I had a full signal. We did a show right from the cabin of our ship. So yeah, we've had I've been able to join and do the show on a regular basis. And what was that we say about postal workers? No rain nor sleet will stop the postman from delivering mail. Same. I think it's the same deal for both you and I on our weekly broadcast. Yeah.
Yeah, because we had initially in the fall, we had some real issues with our internet connection in the building.
Yes.
And to the point that one night, it wasn't us shutting it down, the signal just dropped because there was not enough bandwidth.
Yeah.
And we ended up, was that the one where we did it on Thursday afternoon, the following day, once everything seemed to settle down, and
Right.
we decided, okay, let's get it done, and at least we'll have the recorded one to put up if people don't see it live, and so we did, and then we've managed to get over those humps. I gave the HEFO to the internet provider, and got away from the cable and went with the fiber. So that's been rock solid for me and out of the way. When I think about, especially the one on the cruise ship, and and there you are floating like a cork in the middle of the ocean, and you had a satellite signal that was solid. And a couple of months prior, here in the building, we couldn't get anything near that whatsoever. And so anyway, we got over those humps, and started playing around. I did with some of the the graphics and everything, and I freshened them up for year two a little bit. Nothing, it's more subtle than anything. So there's that. And we did some pop-up shows, remember, the night before the U.S. election.
Correct.
And there was, the night after the Prime Minister announced that he was dropping his elbows and taking the tariffs off. Mm-hmm. And that was just, that was within an hour or two that we made the final decision. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. And
away we went.
In an hour we were up and going.
Yeah, and we had some viewers popping in, and then the playback later on, got some traction as well. So all of those things, it's a slow, steady process to build an audience up, and just doing those pop-ups, a highlight for me. But do I have a particular issue that we've covered that stands out more than any other? I can't think of one. Do you have one that really stood out for you? Because every time I think there is one, something else comes along. And I look at, what we do. And we had Greg Zed on back in May.
That was one of my favorite ones. When he came on there and we spoke about something that's very, very serious to a lot of people in the world, not just Canada. And we talked about a suicide to a large degree, and that was such an incredible show. We had a lot of people that never joined the show before join us in that evening. Some really, really difficult comments being made by some of our viewers, and being open about suicide was just it really struck me hard, and saying like, wow. What a what a fantastic thing to see viewers engaging Greg in terms of some of the things they were suffering with. And, he spoke very eloquently about it, even to a point of giving him some life advice without saying too much. But that particular episode really, really stuck with me. If there was one throughout the entire year, that one really stuck to me because it's one of those shows where both I and Greg actually provided help to a few people that were out there and on the show listening to us and commenting. So anytime you and I can help with anything, I really think that's what this show is all about, to keep people informed. If we can help them with something, bonus. To me, that was a big bonus. I mean, yeah, we have all that drama and that craziness going on in the United States, which is fodder for entertainment and some serious discussion on any talk show, ours as well, or any podcast. But shows like we did with Greg, where more on a personal level, and we can really identify with that. That was an awesome one for me.
It really was, and I knew it would be because I've worked with Greg over the years in that capacity and other capacities as well, and I knew that he has a way of communicating and talking to you, not talking down to you.
Yes.
It's a conversation, and that's what we're having. That's what Night Talk Canada is all about. Oops, I gave something away. No, not really. That's what it's all about, is a conversation. And Eddie, you mentioned it earlier about our coffee conversations. That's what we've done. We've taken our coffee conversations from the terrace out front or the coffee shop and brought them in, and we're going to the web, and we're going to the world, and hopefully we continue to bring in more people who want to talk, because I feel, yes, there are still like radio talk shows, not a lot of people who listens to radio now, but there are those opportunities. But I feel that the internet and doing something like this gives a real opportunity to people to open up and be able to discuss things and do it in a civil manner. We can disagree, have our points of disagreement and everything, but do so in a civil manner and do it live. And everybody's participating. It's not just about 2 talking heads or 3 talking heads. It's about everybody. And that's, if there's nothing else we accomplish in this second year, it's to expand that audience base, to get more people in, more opinions, diverse opinions, and more people talking back and forth, as the comments come in. Because when you post a comment, you're not only talking to us, you're not only talking to the stream, the people watching the stream, you're also talking to the people who are right there at that point in time in the comments section as well.
Right.
And there's nothing stopping you from having a conversation back and forth in the comments section. We will not hinder that in any way. We may even bring up a couple of those comments, and so that's what we're hoping to accomplish. And
right.
Everything under control?
Everything's under control.
Okay. You're still on, so that's a good thing. Okay, so I feel good when I'm away from Montreal. Let's roll along here. Hey guys, and congratulations on year 1. Okay.
Thanks, Larry.
Which one of you had the more shaky voice on your first night talk air?
Definitely me. I was pooping in my pants, I tell you. Oh boy. Yeah.
You know what, Eddie? It was. I could pick up on it in the first sentence or two, but after that, you settled in, and you may have been feeling it, but it didn't come across to me in that manner. And My adrenaline always starts to flow the minute we go into the into the intro. My adrenaline always starts to flow, and more than anything, it's am I going to push the right button? But
you're much more nimble today than you were back then. That's for sure. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, here is Gary, who's essentially producing the show. He's getting everything prepared. All the graphics and all the wonderful things you see on the program itself, it's pretty much all Gary. And not only that, in between, he's actually the studio manager and the technician that's behind the sound booth on the other side of the glass, pushing all these wonderful buttons. So, Gary, hats off to you. I mean, this show has been nothing if it wasn't for you. So, just a hats off to you. It's amazing. It's amazing what you've done, and in terms of your stumpy fingers pushing on the right button, it's not happening as often now as it did a year ago.
Yeah, but it still does.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's catch up on a couple more comments, and then we'll get down to some other business. And by the way, before I forget, and how could I forget, but coming up at the end of the stream, we have some more news. Part of it you already probably know if you've picked up on some things here. But there's another part of it that I don't think you know, at least yet. And it's an exciting part in an expansion, and I think a positive expansion. So we'll talk about that at the end of the program. Let's get back to some comments, and then we can roll along. Greg, I think it is great to connect, but as I told Eddie, Google won't let me sign in to join you guys. And in fact, Gary hadn't secured a link. I wouldn't be able to do the show on, there we go. I wouldn't be able to do the show on suicide nor stress. Shame on Google, but maybe the link needs to be initiated via you or trust a link like Zoom. Okay. If you're talking about the eCam link, Greg, I'll look into that, because I had an issue the other day with that as well, which caught me off guard completely. I'll double check the settings, and if I can't find anything in the settings, I'll check with the eCam folks. Okay, Susan, thank you for inviting me. Happy to be here. Thank you for dropping in and joining us. And Greg comes in with, P.S. As a result of the episode, a viewer secured my contact info, and I'm now doing a live session for the St. John Bar Association. So you're getting to people. Wow. Congratulations, Greg, on that.
Congrats on that. And that means so much to me, Greg. Wow.
Yeah, very much so. And he says, stop it, Gary Eddie, my head is getting swollen. Okay, and is it Loretto? I recognize that shirt, Eddie. I think you bought that right after you ran into a glass door, or at least you thought it was a door. Oh, there's another story to be told.
Oh, boy.
And who was better prepared? The most controversial air talk for both of you was, the most controversial one. That's a good question.
Well, controversial. I mean, every time we speak about what's going on down south, there seems to be a little bit of controversy behind that. What is the most controversial thing we talked about?
Well, one of late that brought a lot of comments after the fact, when people were viewing the replay, was the by-election in Alberta with Pierre Poilievre coming out the winner. And of course, that segment, we asked the question, was it a leadership decision, or a safe seat? And, if you recall, Poilievre, there was speculation by some of the conservatives that longest ballot committee, they ran 90 some odd candidates in Poilievre's old riding, and he lost. And some conservatives were suggesting that contributed to the loss. But they ran 200 and some odd candidates in the by-election in small, in rural Alberta riding, really. And he came up with 80 or 81 point some odd percent of the vote, which is typical voter strength. But there were a number of comments that came in on that one after
Pretty
the
hot.
fact. Yeah,
Pretty hot.
well, yeah, and accusing us of liberal bias and what have you. And of course, in my old days of being a talk show host, I was accused of being a card-carrying member of every party at one point or another. So I must be doing the right thing if you can't figure out. Right. Yeah. Anyhow, it was interesting and conversation back and forth. It proved to be interesting. But the controversy was in the comments after the fact more than anything.
We struck a nerve on those last two shows, for sure.
Yep. And then the show, was it the one before the election, the special before the U.S. election? Mm-hmm. We had some controversial comments there as well. So I guess it would be right. as expected.
From Colorado or something like that.
Yeah. As expected, that's the way it went.
Well, you know what? I think from a controversial perspective, if I might tell Kesha, for me, the one that I really got passionate and really fed up about, believe it or not, is when, Gary, you and I talked about the shenanigans on the House of Commons floor during question period between Poilievre and Trudeau.
Right.
What an absolute disrespectful circus that was, with two clowns throwing lemon meringue pies at each other. It was just so disgusting. It was so down south United States style of debate in a traditional constitution or institution like the way our government typically handled business. Those guys were just at each other nonstop every question period, which is probably one of the most disgraceful periods in the history of our country. I'm not saying it's just a Pierre Poilievre thing there. It takes two to tango. And Trudeau was just as bad. So both of those guys really did a really horrible service to our country up here in terms of our credibility, because that circus was broadcast all over the place. And who knows what the orange in chief down in the United States thought after he saw those two clowns going at it, and says, hey, this is going to be pretty easy for me. So I think in terms of controversy that really pissed me off, out of all the things we've talked about and that we both got emotional about, I think that one resonated with me very, very much in terms of our elected officials acting like fifth graders. It was ridiculous. So yeah, that would be mine, Kesha.
And I can agree with you on that, Eddie. And I wouldn't call it what we had to put up with for the final year or so. Wasn't debate even. It was just like two kids in a daycare playground hollering at each other and, trying to get the best social media clip for shorts and reels. And it was, and I've said it so many times, but it was so refreshing to see the level of debate for the brief parliamentary session back in the spring, with Carney in the chair, and at the time it was Andrew Scheer for the Conservatives as House Leader.
The opposition, yeah.
Yeah, and it was so refreshing. And I remember saying to you after watching the first one, what was missing? What were the key components missing from that whole day? Trudeau, Poilievre, and Singh.
Yeah.
And that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah, that was, oh my God, yeah. And you kind of stop to think, these were the people that were leading our country for how many years? and then you kind of wonder why we were in the mess that we were with before Carney took over.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the
Trudeau,
three people
10
that
years.
Yeah, 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's get a couple more comments. My favorite show was the night you did not discuss a certain fascist. It was refreshing, and you still had lots to discuss. That's right. We declared a free zone.
Mm-hmm.
And some people were a little concerned that we wouldn't be able to do it. And but we did. And when you look back on it, it was a fun show. It was a lighthearted show. And okay. And what topic would you not want to talk about ever on air in terms of social relationships, etc.? I can't think of any. I think we're open to discussing pretty much everything, Gary, if the suggestion did come up, right? Yeah, absolutely. Because it's up to us to keep it adult, responsible, civil in nature, and that's that can be done. I think that unless it's something like there are lines that in normal social situations you do not cross, and if it looked like it was iffy, we'd have a discussion about it and try and figure out what I always used to say to the newsrooms. What is socially acceptable in your community? If they had a story that was kind of, some communities you could run that story no problem and word it the way it was. Other communities you wouldn't really fly, or you would have to really word it very, very, very carefully so as not to incite any kind of uproar or disagreements. So if you have an issue or an idea, by all means, let us know. The email, our new email is nighttalkcanada@nighttalkcanada.ca, it's contact@nighttalkcanada.ca. It's not up and running yet. It will be at some point by tomorrow, Friday at the latest. Ran into an issue in setting it up, and the ticket's open and they're working on it right now. So it'll be up and running very, very shortly. Meantime, you can use the existing email address, contact@nighttalk.ca. And what I'll do is once the new one is up and running, I'll just forward it that for a month or two. But if you have an idea, by all means, let us know. We would really like to know.
And for our newcomers today, I'd like to add, like a few weeks ago, we actually had a show, and a show based around what our viewers wanted us to talk about. And you know what? We pretty much had a show and a half of material to discuss. And you know what? It had nothing to do with what was going on down south. It was issues local in Montreal, stuff that's going on around in Canada. Really, really a lot of fun for us to do. So whoever's watching this, you have an idea for a discussion or anything you'd like Gary and I to discuss on the show, send it in. We love those kind of challenges, and we'd be more than happy to discuss these and provide information on whatever you send over. So keep the ideas coming.
By all means. There was something else. It just escapes me that I was going to bring up as well. Other than sometimes I think that if we had the ability to do some cameras, like put a camera up in the corner behind me and put a camera up in the corner behind you. So, I'm sure some of these shenanigans that are going on as we're juggling some things around here at times would be really quite quite interesting.
Are you wearing pants today, Gary?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Okay, so, and I'm sorry, is it Kasia? Okay. Oh, Kasia, you're. Kasia says, very recent subject for the moment is beginning of schools and no homework policy. Yay or nay? I personally have mixed feelings. Yeah.
Well, you know what? That would
And
be a nice piece on the status of our education systems moving forward. Now that school has started, we're short of teachers, and I think this is a pretty interesting addition to that. Not only that, we can also include banning cell phones in schools. Right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good idea.
Yep. Gary Manel says, Gary, don't do that. Gary, don't do that. You don't know if it's wearing pants.
She's referring to me, of course, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the homework thing, that's really, yeah, an interesting angle to take because
When you were in school, Gary, did you ever come home without any homework? I don't remember a day I didn't have homework.
well, the homework made it to the back window shelf of the car, and I'd only bring the report card in when Wayne would pass around his report card with all of his A's and everything, and then he'd look and say, where's yours? I remember homework in the younger grades in particular, and we had one teacher, and that was the days of the one homeroom teacher. You didn't switch teachers, and she would load us up with homework. Like we had as much homework to do in the evening, it seemed, as what we did all day in school in the time we were in the classroom. And that was younger. That was way too much at that stage, I think, personally, and I would still think that even as an adult. When I get into middle school and then into high school, well, homework was just, it was there.
It was a thing.
Yeah, it was there. And once in a while something got done and other times it didn't. So anyway, that's a whole other story and we won't get into it. Needless to say that eventually I did get my high school diploma, and I think they just kind of called me up on the stage that day and handed it to me and said, get out. You've been around too long. So anyhow, so that's where we've been. And yes, by all means, if you have an idea for a topic, let us know for sure. And we will we'll give it a go and try, and if we need to get somebody in to help explain it, then we will do our best to get an expert on to help explain it and have an open conversation. That's the one thing that I like to do, and even when I was hosting a talk show, there were times where I know it rankled a number of listeners, but we were doing something that in the long run paid off for other people, and at least we knew we helped. And I always left the talk studio saying if I helped one person during that 2-hour show, then I've accomplished something.
Right.
And even if it was just passing out the name of somebody that they could contact for a specific issue. So, okay, and Dasha says, I'm simply not sure how it will support process of self-learning or learning at all. Okay, those are good points.
Mm-hmm.
So keep watching. We'll get into that
Yeah,
at some point in the not too distant future.
I think so.
So yeah, okay. So let's move along because we have at least. You know what, Eddie? Maybe we'll do. Do you want to hold over these two topics to next week, and we'll just get into the other part of what we were hoping to talk about tonight?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Why not?
Yeah, because we've gone 46 minutes over.
Already.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So why don't we hold those over,
All right.
and they'll form the basis of next week's show, and I'm sure there'll be something else to throw in there as well.
Okay.
And yeah, and we'll move right along to the special announcements that we have.
All right.
And I'm just kind of running through something here. You want to do a song and dance while I just get queued up?
Sure. Absolutely. And well, for all the everybody that's joined us today that hasn't been on the show before, welcome. Really, really happy to see you. And in the comments keep the flow of the show going, as you saw. We're already 45 minutes into our show, and I really can't believe how quickly the time has gone today. So thank everybody. I thank everybody for their comments, and really happy to see the newcomers and contribute to the show itself.
Very much so. I really appreciate that very much. Okay. And just one more thing, Eddie.
Yeah, no problem.
And just think, if I had done that the first night a year ago, Eddie, look after this, will you please?
Yes, exactly. No, I couldn't have done it.
Oh, I think you could have, actually. Yeah. Okay, so let's go with this one point. Okay.
Ready to go?
Are you ready, Eddie?
I'm ready.
This is your part of it.
All right.
Oh, okay. And here we go.
All right. A new name for a new chapter.
Tonight, we officially become Night Talk Canada. Honest, unfiltered, Canadian, the conversation we should be having.
And we unveil our new Facebook page and share how you can be part of the next phase of the conversation.
All right. So there are a couple of things to talk about very quickly here. And let's see. Yeah, let the conversation begin. That looks good. And the one other thing I forgot to do. There. All right. So as of tonight, we are rebranding as Night Talk Canada. And you may ask, why? And well, we gave it, a lot of thought, tossed a few things around. And the biggest thing is this. If you type in Night Talk on YouTube or elsewhere, there's all sorts of variations of Night Talk, Talk Night, Dark Night, and Dark Night Talk, blah, blah, blah. And we're a new channel on YouTube and a new entity on Facebook. And we're just really getting established. The foundation now is starting to rise above ground level. And it seems to me to stand out a little bit more. Then let's look at what we're doing. We're Canadians. We've been fighting the elbows up battle from day one on this stream. And when I look at the analytics and see, a lot of our audience is coming from Quebec and really Ontario, especially the 416 area code area of Ontario, and Alberta, the odd Saskatchewan, Alberta, and some from BC. So we're in Atlantic Canada, specifically New Brunswick. So we're branching out from coast to coast, and hopefully at some point we'll be able to go coast to coast to coast. And so why not embrace that? And that's what we did, Night Talk Canada, because whatever we're discussing, whether it's anything here in Canada or anything south of the border or anywhere else in the world, as Christian said, it's helped him in his contributions over the last year of getting a different feel for issues in Europe and how they could impact Canada or how they are impacting Canada and vice versa. So it's our Canadian identity and our Canadian approach to, as we say, the conversation we should be having. So that is why we have gone to Night Talk Canada, and it just seems to flow very nicely, and I think it's going to help us as we try to expand the audience base more so, because it is more specific as to what it is we're doing, what we're talking about. So that's that part of it. Eddie, any thoughts on that?
No, I think I look at that as a really significant progression over the course of the year, Gary. I mean, I know at the beginning, we started out just for the fun of it, see what viewers we get. And I think very quickly, within a couple of months, we saw viewers across the country. And what really surprised us, we even had quite a few Americans tune in during the first 2 months. And, from that point on, the show took on a little bit of a life of itself. Now that we have the summer break, there was a little bit of a lull, but I have every confidence that's going to ramp up again. And, finding us on YouTube or any social media platform was not the easiest thing. I mean, you really have to scroll the mouse to actually find us on YouTube in most cases. And, by getting us this type of domain and getting us this type of a profile, on social media to enable our viewers to find us that much more easier. And I think the algorithms on YouTube are also going to be more favorable for us, having a very unique identifier. So it's on account of a lot of hard work and having reasonably good programming that interests our viewers. That's actually moving us up on the viewership and the scale of what YouTube is presenting us at. It's on a higher level. So the algorithms like it. Viewers, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like us, like if you like us, or give us a thumbs up or even a thumbs down. And when you're watching our live stream or what's posted in our library, we encourage you to look at that. And that just helps us moving down the line. And I'm pretty proud of our accomplishment over the year, Gary. Now that we have such a unique domain identification for us,
Yep, exactly. And Greg says, we do live in a hockey nation, so please keep offering Eddie spin on his Habs.
Count on it.
And Monel says, love the new name.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so there's that. And then we're also launching a Facebook page for Night Talk Canada. And all you have to do to find it, if you're into more of watching on Facebook than on YouTube, because some people do find it easier to comment on Facebook. They don't have to log in or create a Google account to log into chat. So we do have a large number of people who will watch the stream on Facebook. And as I check the numbers every week, it's a fairly steady base and it's growing. It's in little spurts here and there along the way. So, and even if they're not watching the live version, they are watching later, and so those eyeballs just keep adding up. The one thing to remember is, oh no, because we started the page and it's set up the way it is, those previous videos will not disappear. It's not like if your personal page where your videos disappear after 30 days now. Where we have the pro or business side, whatever it's called, page for Night Talk Canada, then they're there. So one of the reasons too was that Eddie and I decided we needed a separate Facebook page is the fact that our own personal pages were becoming full of night talk things. And so it kind of overwhelmed any personal stuff that we were doing, which is okay. I kind of figured it would happen, but it got to a point where it's time now to branch out. And so we've taken that step to branch out, and now there is a dedicated page to Night Talk Canada. And as I say, all you have to do is type in Night Talk Canada, and it will pop up. YouTube, it's at Night Talk Canada -CA. And I'll be changing that hopefully within a few weeks to just make it at Night Talk Canada, if that's available. It should be, but I'll double check. Anyway, it's not hard to find us now, Night Talk Canada. And so that's YouTube, and that is Facebook. And Facebook, as I say, we're getting a lot of traction on Facebook. And, you know, when I look at the demos, and our demo is basically 54 up. And in the middle of that demo, like in around your 60, 65 group, are probably a lot of people are more comfortable with Facebook because that was the first thing they really get into on the social media platforms and have come along with it over the years than YouTube. However, on the other side, and some of the reasons that we're fine-tuning our presentation, or our graphics and everything, is YouTube now, as far as ratings, streaming services, YouTube is the #1 rated streaming service, ahead of Netflix, ahead of Amazon Prime, any of them, and any of the major networks that have streaming services. YouTube is #1, solid #1. More people are watching YouTube videos on their TVs. So we're working, we've worked to make it presentable on your large screen TV. The other thing we've moved into is shorts. And I hesitated. And finally I said one weekend, all right, let's take the deep dive. And one of the first ones, like we had about 1,500 views on one of the first ones within a couple of hours. Just boom. So, shorts and reels have their place in the overall presentation. And so be looking for more of that, both on Facebook and Reels and on YouTube Shorts. There will be more of that available as well for your consumption. And I think that, one important thing. 2 weeks ago, I received notification from YouTube that all of our videos now, once they're posted, are being translated into 13 languages, including French, but 13 languages. So if you have any friends or relatives anywhere in the world, because the 13 languages cover a pretty fair chunk of the globe, let them know. They should be able to find us on their YouTube channels in their countries or their regions if they go looking for Night Talk, and now Night Talk Canada. If they go looking for Night Talk Canada, all of the previous Night Talk videos will be there, and they will be dubbed over it's a little, it seems okay. I mean, I listened to a couple of minutes of 3 or 4 different languages, none of which I understood at all, so I don't know how accurate they were, but YouTube has been testing it with its major influencers now for about a year. And eventually, apparently what's going to happen is artificial intelligence will put together a voice that's going to sound like my voice and Eddie's voice, but speaking in the language of whatever language they're dubbing it in at that time, which just blows my mind.
But, I can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
Me speaking Mandarin if it's there. It's like, wow.
So again, it's out there. If you have friends, let them know, please, because at any time that they click on those videos, it still counts for us, and it helps us to grow the audience, which means we get exposed to a larger YouTube audience for recommendations by YouTube, and we bring more people in, and we have a really good go of it as far as opinions are concerned. So that's it. Facebook, it's Night Talk Canada, and YouTube, it's at Night Talk Canada -CA. And I think that covers everything, Eddie. Was there anything else that we wanted to?
I think that's our list for today.
Okay. So it's been okay. Here, let me go to that. I've got comment to split. Here we go. All right. And Monel says, I want Eddie to speak in a sexy Spanish accent.
Mi esposa está peligrosa.
Okay. So with that, we're going to call it a wrap, I think. But before we do, I just want to have a little toast to everyone who is watching tonight, everyone who has over the year popped in, looked at, watched the videos after the fact or whatever, to Eddie, and Wayne, and Christian, and also to 2 very special people. My wife, Deborah, who puts up with me all week long, and especially on Wednesdays, and to Monel, who I'm sure puts up with you, Eddie, as well.
Oh, yeah.
And the 2 of them have been staunch fans. They also have been regular contributors to comments, and they know how to stir the pot at times in their own ways. And we really do appreciate your support. We really, truly do. So here's to everyone.
Cheers, here. Nice.
Yeah, that just helped my throat too. Okay, and with that, I guess it is time to call it a night. Who would have thunk that it would have gone this way? Time to put a wrap on this episode of Night Talk Canada.
And please remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment on our YouTube channel, and like and share our Facebook page. It'll help expose us to more people just like you. I'm Eddie Kallick. Good night.
And I'm Gary MacDonald. Night Talk Canada returns in 7 days. Good night.